Jim, on the topic of social media and AEW news, last night Tony Khan tweeted out, "For everyone in AEW, in case you missed our email, anyone worried about Hurricane Ian affecting your travel or home or your family life, it's voluntary to come to TV this week. Anyone affected by the hurricane can take care of business at home, and we hope to see you all next week."
What are they going to do at home? Stand out in the front yard and wave the hurricane off? Nah, you. Don't blow my house down. Go across the street to Phil's house. Blow it down. What are you going to do about that hurricane if you're at home?
A couple guys tried to blow down Phil's house. It didn't work out so well.
Well, they should knock, knock, knock by the hair of my chinny chin chin.
Some say they did knock. Some say they kicked. I mean,
some say they kicked. No, for one thing, again, as we've mentioned, a hurricane is not like a tornado. A tornado, you might get fucking 5 minutes notice or less. Hey, your goddamn house is about to blow away right now. A hurricane, they're telling you a week ahead of time. And the hurricane is in Philadelphia, the Dynamite's in Philadelphia this week. The hurricane's in Florida. And the hurricane don't hit Florida till Friday. And Dynamite's on Wednesday. I think they can get there. I think it'd be just fine. And somebody said, well, what about getting back? Well, why do you want to go back? There's a goddamn hurricane. Stay in Philly. For once, Philly looks like the better of the two options. And if you're worried about your family, bring your fucking family. Why do you want to leave your family in the path of a hurricane, whether you're there or not? They've already called for mandatory evacuations in a lot of places in Tampa, along the beach, the coastline, whatever. So it sounds to me, since there's not a goddamn thing you can do about that hurricane hitting your house, it seems to me like a good idea would be to fucking leave. Go to work, fulfill your 6 or 7 figure a year contract, take your family. We're not talking about a $50 indie shot here. Take your family with you. Because for one thing, if Tony, he already has no Punk, he's got no EVPs, all the other people that are on the injured list, they're all out. Now anybody that lives in Florida, what the fuck? What's he going to do? Have a hour Broadway twice between 4 guys? Who's he going to have left? Let Tony offer, instead of leaving employees off of his show, hey, I'll fly your fucking wife and kids up to Philly too and get them out of the goddamn hurricane. I'm in all seriousness, it's a national television show. And I can understand if the hurricane hit the places that the wrestlers lived and there was no way for them to get out and there was no electricity or no communication or whatever and they're stuck there. But no, you got a goddamn week's notice on the forecast and the hurricane is nowhere near where they're shooting television and you're paying these guys thousands of dollars per shot in most cases to fucking come to work and do that national TV show, bring the family, and then wait a few days and then go back when some of the shit's settled down. Who wants to sit there and watch while a hurricane takes place? I did that once, and I don't know that I'd do it again. Hurricane Hugo, 1988, I believe it was, came in on the coast of North Carolina and all the way inland and hit Charlotte. And it was right at my birthday, and I also had 3 days off, which never happened. Never did we get 3 days in a row off, right? And I have a big old birthday cake, and I'm going to do nothing but catch up on watching my wrestling tapes that Weasel Dooley has sent me. And the first day off, the hurricane comes through and knocks our fucking electricity out. And I couldn't watch my wrestling tapes. And I'm sitting there in the dark, eating my fucking cake with a fork in bed, while my wife and the dogs were in the bathtub. This was the previous administration. Stacy's not that old. with a blanket over them, screaming, "Get in the bathtub, get in the..." I said, "Fuck this fucking thing. I'm eating my cake." And then we sat there for 2.5 more days with no electricity, and I got in the car and drove to the airport to make my next shot, and the power came on an hour later. But nevertheless, no, you need to get to fucking TV and do your fucking job. There's nothing you can do to stop a hurricane from doing whatever it's going to do. Get your family safe and make some money to repair what's going to be damaged when you get back. That's my thought.
As someone who ignored the mandatory evacuation in Long Beach for Superstorm, yeah, it is it. I can't fucking say that. For Superstorm Sandy, which was a hurricane before that.
Yes.
That was a really rough go. I'll choose that over Philadelphia every day of the week.
But anyway, again, I'm not being hard-hearted, but my God, like I said, this is not an indie show at the rec center in front of 200 people. You're going to get paid $50. It's national television, and it's not being taped in the scene of a disaster area. So I would think you can go and get there and make sure your family's safe as well.
I wonder how many, I can think of a few guys. I was going to say, how many of those guys still live in the Tampa area that work for AEW?
A lot of guys live in Florida, not only because they've relocated there now because of NXT, but the rest
state income tax.
There's no state income tax in Florida. And so that's why, but I got to be honest with you again. What the fuck? There's a state income tax in Kentucky. It's 6%. And I'm not saying live in Kentucky, but it in some hub of an airport area, Charlotte was great. You know, Chicago's a big city. I'm not saying it's a great city. But when guys move to Florida just to save 6% state income tax, they're almost as far away as they can possibly be from almost all the work they're going to have. Have you ever sat and thought that? It's as across the country to go to the West Coast. It's across the country to go to the Northeast. It's somewhere to go almost everywhere except Georgia and Florida. And I'd rather be more centrally located.
Yeah, Florida sucks. Not enough people say that.
Well, also, and there's the miserable weather, but
yeah.
But weather is miserable now all over the place since we've ruined the climate and
the crime. I'm a New Yorker, and every time I go down there and watch the news in Florida, I find it a lot more frightening than any of the news I see up in New York. It's not totally unreasonable, though, to say, hey, if you live in the eye or where the eye of the hurricane's going to go, you could stay there, take care of your family. Some people may be worried about looting. That's a big deal whenever there's a big storm. People go around and loot.
Looting? For heaven's sake, if all the goddamn people are washed away and the houses are blown down, what are they going to loot? Scrap wood?
When I was in Long Beach after Superstorm Sandy, one of the neighbors put up a big piece of wood, and he wrote on it, "Looters will be shot by local vet." We had no looters. It was great.
I'll tell you one thing. I don't know whether I want to take Harley Quinn to that vet or not.
Well, I don't think it was that kind of vet. It was probably someone who had been involved in one of the wars, but
I see what you're going to. Hey, wait, hold on here. I'm seeing on the Google thing here. I'm sorry, I was mistaken when I gave the weather report. I'm not a meteorologist. It's not Friday that the hurricane is coming. It's Wednesday evening that the hurricane's coming to Florida. I'd seen a graphic on the TV news where it had the path, and I just caught the Friday part before it went off. I guess that's where it hits the Georgia state line or whatever the fuck. But in that case, if it's coming in on Wednesday, everybody should have left on Tuesday. Get the fuck out of there. You've got warning. That's what I'm saying between the tornadoes and the hurricanes. The tornadoes, you can't call an evacuation or plan an evacuation for a tornado because you literally have minutes. They can say conditions are right, but you don't know where it's ever going. And it only could be 100 yards and then it's gone, or it could be 2 miles and then it's gone, or whatever. But with a hurricane, it's coming. We predict it a week ahead of time. And it's going to beat the shit out of everything in its path in a long way for a fucking while. I say that's when you need to fucking take off.
To be fair, they did not know exactly where the cone of the hurricane, the direction everything was going to go. It ended up going towards Tampa. Earlier on, it seemed like it was going to go maybe towards South Florida, and that changed.
But they should have called the Scorpions.
The Scorpions?
They know all about hurricanes. They'll rock you like a hurricane.
All right. Well, let me ask you this then. Knowing all the problems that AEW is having right now behind the scenes, all the hurt feelings, all the different camps, the camps that have gone home, who still have hurt feelings, so many things filled with drama that have happened over the last several months and are still happening. Is this a good opportunity for Tony? Should he say, everyone fly your whole family in? It's going to be Family Fun Week for AEW. We're taking over the Ritz-Carlton. Bring everyone in your family. And let's all have fun.
Fuck, what about the Hampton Inn?
The Hampton Inn? He's rich.
Yeah.
He's got money.
Fuck, most rich people get rich by being good with their money. I don't know.
Well, he didn't get rich.
Some of the shit works. Well, nevertheless,
so he could be a little different.
Run in a family. It should come in the genes. Have you ever? Nevertheless,
have I ever come in the genes?
No. Yeah. I don't even know what I was gonna do there. But it should come biologically. It's what I'm saying, that rich people should beget people that are careful with their money.
I believe you could be careful with your money, but it also could be seen as a serious morale-building company event.
What about what happens if he finds out that fucking Pockets somehow has fucking 15 illegitimate children he wants to bring?
Do you think he would bring all of his illegitimate children all at once? That would make no sense. He would expose everyone to everything else. It would probably blow up his whole spot.
Well, no, everybody probably knows about it. He's got like 15 kids.
Of all the guys
wives,
there. Hold on. Of all the guys
under
there.
different names. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just meandering now.
If you had to put money on which wrestler there has the most illegitimate kids, who would you say?
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on here. Who's that? Well, now.
Serious thought into this.
Well, now, you'd think somebody like Jericho, because he's a rock and roll star also, right? But we know from his younger days, he's very bashful. One girl got mad at the Smoky Mountain Flophouse. He wanted to sit and hold hands all night. And you would think Jungle Boy in a previous generation with the long curly locks and the baby face. You'd think he'd be fucking everything in sight, but I'm sure that doesn't happen anymore in his generation. Who's one of the older let's see. Maybe Big Show. Maybe Big Show.
Big Show?
Well, no, I'm just thinking somebody from a previous generation where they actually tried to have recreational relations instead of going back and playing video games and cutting each other's nuts off in the opposing camps in the locker room. I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, it certainly is a different
business. Tony Schiavone probably has the most biological children of anybody. He had a pretty good record going back in the Crockett days, so of course all those are legitimate.
We were talking illegitimate, and you didn't really have any guesses. I guess this is the best diplomatic work you've ever done here on the show.
Nobody gets laid in the wrestling business anymore. Now, if we were speculating about years gone by, that'd be another thing.
It's almost like if you were the ugliest man alive and a professional wrestler, you may do okay nowadays just because all the other wrestlers are in relationships with the other wrestlers. There's very few single wrestlers who aren't attached to someone else that they're working with who's friends with everyone else they're working with.
Well, but there's very few female fans to pay attention to the rest of them, though. So it's
that's why you start a band. That's why you leave wrestling and start a band.
What? I'd like to start the rubber band.
The rubber band. You could be the rubber band man.
Yeah.
We talked about that several episodes ago.
Yes,
Felipe
yes,
Wynn.
we did. We're going back to it's a callback, as the kids say.